Okay, so we're gonna start installing Active Directory on the server that we just installed. So first thing that we want to do is we want to change the computer name to something that represents that this is a domain controller. So what I like to do is I just want to do and 01. Okay, this is gonna need a restart. Okay, and the other thing that we want to do is we want to set up a static IP instead of dynamic IP, because we want to make sure that the IP address of our server does not change, because if the IP address of domain controller keeps changing, it's going to cause problems for the computers that are joined to the domain uh, to log into the server, because we set the IP of the domain controller as DNS on the computers that we want to join to this domain. So let's just go to IP and ah 168 I don't know what IP is free. I'll just run them. Okay, and I will leave DNS blank for now, because once I install Active Directory services, what it will do is it's gonna install a DNS server on this server. DNS is an integral part in uh, running Active Directory services. Without DNS, AD will not work. So we have set the static IP, we have changed the server name, and now I'm gonna restart the server so the name change takes effect, and then we'll install Active Directory. Okay. Okay, server is back up. We will now log into the server. Okay, beat up, hurry up. Okay, so server is boot up, and server manager is loading. Go to local server, and we can see that the name has been changed. And we also have to enable remote desktop if we want to access this server remotely, and I have now set up a static IP4 IP address. So let's now jump to installing Active Directory. So we will just go to manage, add roles. Okay, I'm gonna wait for this to load properly. Okay, it has loaded, so I'm gonna go manage, add roles and features, and I like to do this when I'm doing this, so this page will not appear every time I'm trying to install any roles. Okay, role based installation, and this server roles. So I will install Active Directory domain services role and add features. Next, and I just leave as it is. One thing that I like to make sure is, which is not done right now on the server, is disable SMB 1.0, which we will do using remove roles and features option. So I'm just gonna do next and next and install. So once this installation is complete, it's going to take some time. Once this installation is complete, it will ask me to restart the server. So I'm gonna, usually the installation just goes on and then the server restarts, so I'm just gonna pause the video for now, just to make sure the video is not unnecessarily lengthy, and we'll come back to this once restart is done. So the feature installation is completed, uh, and now we're gonna promote this server to a domain controller. So once you install the Active Directory domain services and then you come into server manager, there will be a notification here. ah, it has to load again. So on the previous versions before server 2012, so it means server to NT 2003 and 2008, we used command dc promo to install Active Directory domain services and promote this server to a domain controller. So here when we come to server manager and after we have Active Directory domain services installed, it's gonna give this post deployment configuration notification that that asks us to promote the server to a domain controller. So if this is the first server in the domain controller, we will do add a forest. Otherwise, we will do add a domain controller to an existing domain if we already have a domain. So because this is the new server, I'm just gonna do add a forest, and then I'll write a domain name whatever I want. So I'm just gonna do I'm using local because in a later I'll show the option to add a .com, .net or whatever domain that you have as additional domain for authentication if you're syncing your AD accounts to Google Workspace or to Microsoft, then you'll need that option. So next. Okay. So each domain controller has a functional level, like Microsoft has added new functionalities to with each new server. So this is the functional level for the domain. So you can have below functional level, like server 2025 will have levels from 2008 to 2025, and server 2019 will have from 2008 to 2019. So uh, once you upgrade, so like this is at 2016, and I cannot have a higher function level here. So if I add a server 2019 to this domain as a domain controller, I will have to use server 2016 as the domain function level, because this is the lowest domain controller's function level. If that makes sense. Uh, so if I want to upgrade this to 2019, then I will have to demode this domain controller and remove this. When I do demode this domain controller, then I'll have option to upgrade the function level to 2019 on the new domain controller. So we will now, so this directory services restore mod password is like a safe mod password for Active Directory. If you forget your domain password, then you can use, or your domain is somehow corrupt or there are some problems, then you can use the restore mod password to fix the problems in your domain. Also, this is separate for each domain controller. So this is not necessarily your admin password, but you should remember that these are separate for each domain controller, and this is just for restore. This is not the login password. The password that you currently have will the account that will be moved to the domain, and you'll use the same password that you're using right now to log into the to this server as a domain admin account. I think NetBIOS has a limitation of 12 characters. It was an old technology. That was used uh, locally, like when you are in a LAN, not across the router. So if you have only one subnet, then NetBIOS names are still used actually. And you can use Wins server to resolve NetBIOS names also if they are over the router. And this is the database log files as well. I'll just use this to default. And next, and if you click install, server automatically reboots at the end of the promotion operation. So once the prerequisites are verified, we ignore the warnings and then we click install, and then we wait for the magic to happen or not happen if there are any issues. I'm gonna pause the video now, just wait for this prerequisite check to complete. Yay, finished. So we have some warnings that I am ignoring because prerequisite check is completed. Warnings can be resolved later. So I'm just gonna install, and then I'll wait for this installation to complete, server to reboot, and once the server has been rebooted, then I will resume the video. Oh, I just wanted to add one thing. Uh, Even though DNS is an integral part for Active Directory domain services, we did not install DNS ourselves. This promotion option is installing DNS, and once the server is rebooted, we'll be able to see DNS option here below or above this server roles menu. Okay, so it's restarting. It's gonna take some time. Okay, so the server has been rebooted, and Now we see that the domain name has been prepended to the administrator account, and we will use the same password that we use for administrator, and we will log into the server. And because this is the first time we're logging in, it's gonna take some time. Okay, so the login is complete, and now the server manager is loading the services. So we're gonna wait for that. Okay, so this is loaded, and now you can see that DNS is now installed. So we can go to tools from server manager, and usually we use Active Directory users and computers to create user accounts. So what I like to do is, here I create a new organizational unit that will host all the users. Not new organizational unit. So, users. So here I then create separate OUs. So one will be for, this is how I like to structure active accounts. My AD. Everyone has different preferences. And also new for disabled accounts, and then one for security groups. And in active accounts we create separate account for each department. Accounts and finance, and IT, and whatever, marketing. Sure. So the reason for creating separate accounts is, the reason for creating this organizational unit is because we cannot, these are the containers, this user, this is a container, this is not organizational unit. So we cannot apply group policies to containers. We can only apply group policies to organizational units. So I like to be able to apply policies to all of the users. So this is why I just create a new OU at the top level, and then I create this whole structure below that. So now we are going to create an account. So new and user account one and AC01. So right now we see it's mfsid dot local only. So just next, and oh, sorry, sorry. Okay, so what I wanted to show you was, is here in tools and Active Directory sites and services. I think that was it. No, that's not it. Active Directory domains and trust. So here, if I go to properties, okay, so I can do mfsid.com and add, apply, okay. And now if I come in here, new see, it's now available. So id hgg idhgg1 and at mfsid.com. So this is our Active Directory installation is now completed. I'll just show you DNS real quick. So DNS, and you can see DNS installed. And if you look at forward lookup zones, we have our domain name here, and all the computers that will be joined to this, they will have entries created here, and we can also set up entries, separate entries. And for mfsid.com, if we want to create another group, we can create a new zone here, and I usually like to create this as an Active Directory zone. And yes, and zone name mfsid.com. Okay, so this is called split DNS. So what I do is, for some things for this domain that are hosted locally, I will create entries here. So like if I'm hosting a web server internally, then I'll create a new entry here for that web server, and if someone is looking from outside, they will go to the public IP of that server. But that's for another video. So this is our Active Directory is now installed, and I will also create a few groups, because our next option is to create file server, and after that I will try to in place upgrade this server to server 2022, just to see if it works or not, if it breaks anything or not. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.